Create this interactive Excel dashboard with me and never go back to boring spreadsheets again. Let's start by highlighting all of our data, and we're going to use the pivot chart function. Insert pivot chart, hit OK. We need to move our month and our totals down to the bottom in values because we want to see by month our sales totals. Here's our chart. Let's move it in place. And then we need to go back up to the top here and change the chart type. Let's go with a bar chart for this first one. We're going to click on the title, click on the legend, press delete, right click, and let's hide all of these fields. Next, let's copy our data and Control-C, Control-V to paste. Now, if you notice, the field list is gone. If you double click on this chart, it's going to expand it. You don't want to do that. We need to go back up to the top and find the Show Field List option. And here's your list again. This time, let's change this to a different value. We're going to go with average. And then we're going to remove month and by customer ID. We want to see the average total per customer. So now let's change the format on this font so that when you have this in your chart and you add the data labels, it's showing as currency. So let's copy and paste this again, Control-C, Control-V, and again, go back up to the top and go to Pivot, Analyze, and then Field List. And then let's move these around here. This time we want to see the purchased units and we want to see the sum. So let's close that. And then now we need to format this again. So again, when you end up creating your charts, this will show the proper format. And we'll get rid of the decimals just to make it easier to look at. So now let's go back up to Pivot Chart and actually insert the charts. This particular one, we could go with a column chart. So let's again click on the legend, title, delete, and right click and remove those fields. For the bottom one, let's go to Pivot Chart again. And this time we're going to go with a line chart. So let's select line. And then let's have the markers showing a little bit more bold. And again, repeat the steps where you press delete and then right click and hide the fields. So now we have all of our charts. I'm just going to move these so that they're a little bit easier to see. I'm going to hit Shift and select all three. And then I'm going to Control-C and I'm going to Control-V to paste them on a new tab. So I'm actually going to need to move these completely out of the way. So I'm going to select those again and get those out of the way so that we can insert our shapes. So we're going up to Illustrations, Insert Shape. Let's change the fill on this to white. And then we could change this to a bevel. This makes it look a little bit more three-dimensional. There's lots of options in that area. And then you can resize this and move it. If you copy and paste, it makes it easier where the formatting is already done. So let's try to resize these to approximately what we would need. So now I'm going to take these charts and move them in place. You want to right click on the shapes and send to back, just like a PowerPoint slide, so that your charts are showing at the front. So now if I go up here to the top, or you can right click and go on to outline and no outline. We're going to remove the outline so it blends in better with the shape. And then again, let's move this one into place. We need to send that to back. We need to resize these to what will fit within our shape. I am on a mobile device for this video, so it's a little bit more of a challenge to fit these in. If you were on the computer screen, it's probably going to be easier for you. Let's close that. And we just really need to move this into place here. And then we need to go with the no outline again. Now we've got our charts, so let's right click and format data series. Here you can do different colors for your bars. I'm going to go with a darker gray. You can go with a little bit lighter so it's easier to see. And then the gap width, let's reduce that so that the bars are thicker. I'm going to repeat the same steps by right clicking and adding data labels here and then format data because I want to change the color. Let's go with that darker gray again. All of our charts will be pretty similar in color. The gap width, let's reduce those as well so that the bars are easier to see. I like the data labels, it's easier to look at, so I'm going to right click and add them to the bar chart as well. And then let's go here and change that line to a gray, and then we can update our marker color here as well. You can individually change these, but it can be kind of a challenge, so it's easier to right click, format data series, and then go to the actual marker menu. So sometimes it's kind of hidden. I often skip over it. You have to scroll, or you have to go back up to the top and then marker options. And then when you expand it, you can see that you can change the size, you could change the type. Let's go with 9. That looks pretty good. So now our charts are looking pretty good. Let's change the background color here to a lighter gray. That makes our shapes stand out better. And then if we go up to insert a shape here, we will choose the 3D box. And you can draw this in. This looks to be an appropriate size for the title, and then double click in there and type in your title. And you can format this font, the sizing, the type, just like you could if you're just typing into a cell. So I'm just going to resize that so the entire title fits. And then let's change this to an orange. And when I go to home, you can center align the text. You can do lots of different things here. Let's make the font a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to Control-C, Control-V to copy and paste. And then we need to move that in place. And again, double click to change your title. This particular one is going to be our units by customer. And then copy paste again because we want to put another title over here to the left. And this particular one is our sales by month. So we'll double click in there and enter a new title. So these charts are coming together pretty nicely. We still need to add a title. Let's go back here to our Others tab and change this format. That's what I was saying earlier. If you change the format on your chart data, it will update in your actual chart. So now let's add a title here. Let's call this a customer dashboard. I'm going to change the font background to match the rest of our formatting that we've done. And let's make this larger because it is a title. We want it to stand out quite nicely. So the dashboard piece is looking good. I'm going to format data series again here, and let's go through and add a little bit of dimension to these bars. So right click again, format data series, and we're adding that beveled option. So all this is looking good, but it's not interactive at this point. So we do want to add a slicer. So let's hit shift and move all of these charts as we select them. We can move them all down, and then let's make room for a slicer. So if we go up to insert, we need to actually go back to our other tab, insert slicer, because the slicer data is actually going to be based off of this pivot data here. So let's go with month. So we're going to right click and make sure that we've selected all of our pivot charts because we want that slicer to control all three at the same time. Let's move our slicer in place, and we're going to expand it, shrink it down so it's more of a horizontal version here. And if you go up to slicer buttons, you can change the number of columns. So we have 10 months of data here. So we want a nice 5x2 grid, and we'll have to make some room here so that all of this is visual or visible. Let's resize that again. And then if you go back up here to slicer, you can do quick styles to change the color. So let's go with the orange. And now as you select the different buttons here, you can hit shift to select multiple if you want to see Q1, for example, or you can hit the X to see everything. All done.